It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Dave Hopla, who is a shooting coach. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to work in professional sports?
Well, I played overseas for a number of years, and when I came back from playing over in Europe, I wanted to be a coach in the NBA, and I had sent out, my resume and a bunch of, back then it was VHS videos of me working players out and myself working out. And I got zero response from any of the teams and so forth. I got 2 letters. Mike Schuler sent me a letter, and then Doug Moe had sent me letters, thank for the interest, and they'll keep my stuff on file, but I never ever heard back from them. So at the time, I was coaching at a junior college in Baltimore, and then I started doing my own basketball shooting camps and clinics. And then, when I finally got hired for my first full-time gig in the NBA, I was 48 years old. I got hired with the Toronto Raptors, and so I tell people never give up on your dreams. So I've been fortunate and blessed to have been involved in basketball for a number of years, but I got involved in the NBA late in life, but it's been a great experience for me.
That's wonderful. What was your time like with the Toronto Raptors as the assistant coach and shooting coach?
It was great. I got hired actually right after Thanksgiving, so they had already been playing a number of games, and Brian Colangelo was the general manager. Sam Mitchell was the head coach. And I got hired up there, and I went up right after Thanksgiving, and started right away working with the players and everything. And I had, luckily Sam gave me an opportunity when I first got in there. They're like, what's this old guy coming in here to do? And I did my hour lecture that I usually do at basketball camps, and I actually made every shot. So Rasho Nesterovich was calling me Paul Orndorff, Mr. Perfect from the professional wrestling world. And so the guys, bought in, and we had a great group of guys there. We were called Team Euro because we had a lot of Europeans. We had Jose Calderon, Jorge Garbajosa, Rasho Nesterovich. Anthony Parker had played overseas for a number of years, and with Euro Slokar, Pop Sow, and it was a great experience. And we ended up actually winning the Atlantic Division that year. We were at 500, and we lost to the Nets in the first round of the playoffs. And Coach Mitchell became Coach of the Year that season, and it was just a great experience. Chris Bosh was an all-star, and that was Andrea Bargnani's rookie year. And we had a great group of guys.
What was it like working with the New York Knicks as the shooting coach and assistant coach?
Oh, the Knicks was a dream come true for me. I grew up in New Jersey, and when I was a kid growing up, I was a huge New York Knicks fan, and just being able to go into the Garden, that my first year there, we won 54 games. We beat the Celtics in the first round of the playoffs, so we lost to the Indiana Pacers in the second year. But I was going in there and having Madison Square Garden for my own workouts. I would go there early before the games, and being able to shoot on that court was, something I had dreamed of as a little kid. And here I was doing it, and then going in and, meeting Clyde Frazier, who was, as a kid, he was one of my favorite players, him and Earl Monroe and Pistol Pete Maravich. So to meet him and everything, it was great. We had we had a great group of guys. We were an older team at that time. We had like Kenyon Martin, Rasheed Wallace, Marcus Camby. Our rookies that year were Pablo Prigioni, who was 32, and Chris Copeland, 28. We had Kirk Thomas. Melo led the league in scoring that year, and J.R. Smith was sixth man of the year. And just going into the Garden, the electricity, the excitement, it was, you can't describe it. It just was electric. And it was, like I said, a dream come true. And seeing a lot of my friends being able to come to the games, and they were so proud of me. It made me proud and humbled me, to have so many friends coming in and supporting me, being with the Knicks as they were Knicks fans. And it was great to see the Knicks, play well again this year, except the playoffs, but they got there, and hopefully they'll build on that.
What was it like transitioning from the Knicks to the Washington Wizards?
I was actually with the Wizards before the Knicks. I went from Toronto to Washington, and the transition was it was an easy one for me to make. I would have never left Toronto, but my wife couldn't work out of Canada. She's a national account manager, not an international. So when I had the opportunity to go to Washington, I jumped at it, and my wife and daughter were able to join me down there. And actually, I went to high school when I grew up in New Jersey, but I went to high school in Baltimore. So that was a nice situation for me too, because all my friends in Baltimore could come, to the games in DC. And my first year there, we made the playoffs. We lost to Cleveland. Gilbert was injured. Gilbert Arenas, aka Agent Zero, Hibachi. He was hurt. But Caron Butler and Antoine Jameson, they were all-stars that year. And like I said, we did a nice job. And unfortunately, we lost to, Cleveland in the playoffs. And then the second year there, we were hit with a lot of injuries as well. And, unfortunately, Eddie Jordan got let go 11 games into the season. And Ed Tapscott took over as the head coach. And we just were decimated with injuries. It was a tough season. And then after the year, we were all fired, and Flip Saunders came in and took over then at that time.
What was the day?
Yep.
What was the day in the life of an NBA coach on the NBA level?
Game day. So if it's game day, we get together as coaches. We'll get together. We'll be in the office by 7:00. By 7:30, we'll go in and go over our game plan for what we plan on doing for that evening's game. Say we're playing Cleveland or something. Whoever coaches, that might be their scout. Like I actually did some scouting, and present the game plans for when I was in Washington. So like if it was my scout, we'd go over what their plays are, how we're going to defend it, what we want to do, and then we'd watch film on it, everything. And then the players would start coming in because shoot around would be at like 10 or 11, depending on what time you have the court for an hour, earlier in the day. So guys would start coming in early and, get some shots up. And then at 10:00, we'd get on the floor and walk through, our shoot around, as they're called. And then, get some shots up and then, go home. And then we still watch some more film, and you put up on the board, get everyone's scouting reports, make sure the guys have it, and then be on the floor about 5:00, start working guys out for a 7:30 game. Guys would usually be on the court maybe 15-20 minutes a piece before the game. And you don't want too many guys on the floor at once, and you would just rotate the players out and work with them, and then it would be tip-off time. And once the game ended, we'd be watching film that again. If we were going home, we'd, head home, watch it. If it was a good game, you sleep good. If you played bad, you don't get a good night's sleep. And you go from there. And if it was my scout, now after the game, I'd have to write down, what worked, what didn't work. So we have that on file for the next time we play that team. And if it was say we were playing Cleveland at night in Washington, and now we've got to fly to Boston, you head to the airport, get on the plane, have your laptop out, and you're watching that game right now. Or if it's your scout, say you were scouting Boston, you'd be preparing all your notes for the next day's game with Boston and everything. So it's quite intensive. I mean, and it was funny, like when I got hired along with Ed Tapscott my first year in Washington, and Eddie Jordan asked if we wanted to, contribute to, doing scouting reports. And Ed Tapscott and I said, sure, we would love to do that. We want to expand our our knowledge of the game and, learn more as much as we could. So all the other assistants are happy because now you got two more people doing breakdowns of games. So my first year there, Ed Tapscott, scouted games. I scouted games. Mike O'Corn, Phil Hubbard, Randy Ayers. So you had five guys, every fifth game you had a game. So that's not too bad, right? My second year there in Washington, it got crazy because Eddie Jordan got fired. Mike O'Corn was the lead assistant. He got fired. Ed Tapscott became the head coach, and Randy Ayers went in for neck surgery. So for the last 71 games of that season, the scouting was done by Phil Hubbard and Dave Hopla. So the only time you could catch your breath is like we had a home and away against Philadelphia. So that was like, oh, thank goodness. Because when you're usually scouting, you watch the team that you're about to play. You watch like their last four games that they played and the last time you played them. So you're actually watching a game like, a team play 5 times to prepare that scouting report.
Whoa.
And when they make a call, like if they call, thumb up 15, you got to know what the actions are. You can't be sitting there saying, you got to call out those actions, and hopefully the players know them. If you have a detailed scouting report, you have guys that actually read them and get on their iPads and watch this stuff. And that's another thing. We give the guys hard copies. We give them film breakdown of the teams labeled, and also individual, like who you're going to be playing against, what their tendencies are. So they're inundated with a lot of information and so forth. And sometimes I think it's overkill. We get too much information. I think sometimes that confuses not only the coaching staff but also the players. If you keep things simple, I find things work out a little bit better for us.
During your time as the NBA shooting coach, were there any players that were shooting after the game, like after maybe a big win or a big loss, they would go up and shoot after the game?
Yes, a lot of guys would. I mean, in Washington D.C., we have our practice gym right there, and a lot of times after the game, guys would go right down there. They're feeling good if they played good. Mostly, guys usually didn't shoot too afterwards if they shot well. They think they have it. When they shot bad, guys would be like, "Hey, coach, can we go in and can we work on some things and everything?" And say, "Sure." And a lot of times, if a guy played bad or if some guys didn't play at all, it's just they wanted to just shoot, and I wouldn't even say anything. It was just more like, we had Alexei Pesharov, who was a rookie from overseas, and he wasn't playing much, and he would be frustrated, and I'll never forget, he would always want to shoot after the game, and I got my wife and daughter to go home too, but he'd want to shoot like it's 11:30 and he wants to like be in the gym. So Randy Ayers said to me, he goes, "Don't let the players work you got to work them." So I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Put them through a real intense workout. Don't just let them shoot." So the next time we worked out, I had Pesh. He was bright red. I thought he was ready to throw up. So he never hit me anymore at 11 o'clock at night, But when I was with Washington, Gilbert was hurt a lot, but Gilbert would come into the gym. He'd call me all different times of the day and evening to go in him. He worked his tail off. He was always in the gym and always wanting to do work. I mean, one year he said this summer he's going to make 100,000 shots, 100,000 makes during the summer, the off season and everything. And same thing in Detroit. Brandon Jennings was a big worker. A lot of guys would, come back in the evening, especially right September, before camp opens up. Guys are really really putting it, in the extra work. Once the season gets going, season's so long and games come so quickly. It's really tough sometimes to put in, extra time, because after practice, some guys will stay after practice or come in early and everything. And a lot of them don't want to come back to the gym again, especially like in New York, when I was with the Knicks, our practice facility was out in Purchase, New York, so a lot of guys lived in the city. JR lived in New Jersey. And then some guys lived out by the practice facility, but it was like a split. Half the guys lived in New York in the city, and they weren't going to commute to come all the way back out, at another time and stuff. And also, like, a lot of people would say, like, oh, Melo didn't come out to shoot before the game. They'd be saying this, but they don't realize Melo might have stayed late after shoot around that morning. And a lot of those guys, I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to sit there listening with the crowd screaming and hollering at me, some people, they're bad mouth and everything about you. So, a lot of guys would just, stay right after shoot around and get their shots up and not worry about it, just come out during the layup line during the game.
What was the transition like for you from going from being an assistant coach to now owning a shooting clinic?
Well, the camps and clinics I've been doing forever. I've been doing them for, like I said, this is my 35th year. So my transition actually was like going as a shooting coach, clinician, having my camps to the NBA. And it was an easy transition. And I was fortunate because I had spoken at so many camps. Most of the guys had seen me at some point, whether it was at 5-Star, Eastern Invitational, the Nike camp, or the West Coast All-Star camp or the Phenom camps. They had seen me at some point. So, doing my lecture. And so it gave me some credibility with them right off the bat and everything. And they were excited to work with me and everything. So the biggest transition is, the travel is a lot nicer than the way the Dave Hopla shooting camps travel. I mean, we're staying at the 5-star hotels, having your own plane and everything, and the Dave Hopla shooting clinics, I'm getting in the car, driving or, flying commercials. So, but it's all basketball and it's all great.
What is the Dave Hopland shooting camp and what do you offer?
My shooting camp, I have several different options that I do. I have an overnight camp that I've been doing for years up in the Pocono Mountains. And the Pocono Mountains is with the Hoop Group is a special place for me because as a kid, I had gone there as a camper when I was in high school. And then when I was playing in college, I went back as a counselor. Then when I was coaching in college, I went back as a coach. Then I went back as a clinician, and now I have my own camp. So what we do at the Dave Hopla shooting camp there is the kids come in as soon as they register. We videotape their shots. We have them shoot, a bunch of different shots from different angles, and we evaluate their shots. And during the course of the week, we want to make a couple, tweaks or changes. And then we also videotape them at the end so they can see like the before and after. And what I offer now, like I do a lot of individual work. Kids come in from all over. I have my own gym down here in Naples, Florida. And I have kids come in, for long weekends and just individual work. And we do everything from, watching other, pro players shoot and, what their shot looks at side-by-side comparison and everything. We do film breakdown. And then we have, during the course of the long weekends, we have what I call correctives. I give them corrective drills that they have to do depending on what the problem is. Not everyone has the same problem. So everyone's correctives are different as well as their workouts. So I'll customize, personalize each kid the workout that they should go home and work on. And then, they stay in touch with me throughout the year. And we do periodically Zoom calls or catch up, or they come back down again, or if I'm in the area, I hit with them and so forth. And the same thing goes, with the pro players and stuff, getting with them once the season ends, and they'll stay in touch. Oh, sorry. Dogs barking there. And the same thing, guys will during the season, like I'll watch guys. I still watch, guys that I was with, like in, that are in the playoffs, like Tobias Harris with the Philadelphia. I was with him in Detroit, and I was watching Ish, and I'll send them little notes if I notice anything that they might be doing, that they shouldn't be, or also complimenting them on the good stuff that they are doing. So stay in touch, good relationships with the players I've worked with in the past.
Do you only train high school and college players, or do you also train the NBA and WNBA players too?
I work with players on all different levels. I mean, I have kids that are junior highs. At my camp in the Poconos, we have kids as young as 10 years of age, up to seniors in high school. But I've worked with boys and girls, all ages. Actually, I don't have a girls' camp this year, but I usually have a girls' camp up in the Poconos as well. But this year it didn't have it. Just couldn't work it out with the dates and everything. But I actually, girls, when I first was offered to do the girls, I was like, I don't know if I can put up with them. I don't know if I could deal with the girls. And after I did the girls, I said to Mr. Kennedy, I said up at the Poconos, I said, can I do 3 weeks of girls and no more boys? Because I mean, the boys' camps, I'm screaming and hollering, losing my mind. The girls, I'm not talking any louder than I'm talking to you right now. So, and the girls, guys want to go all do all the fancy stuff, and they can't even like make a free throw, but they're interested in doing a sidestep Jason Tatum 3, and they want to go from step A to Z and skip every step in between. And the girls, they get it and they just keep working hard at it.
What is the day in the life of your motivational speaking?
I do a lot of corporate motivational speaking. Like I said, COVID put a damper on everything. And my corporate talk, I do a talk called Shooting for Success. And I break it down as, S is sacrifice, unselfishness, character, commitment, effort, standard, and someone. And I can change it up and make it tailor-made for whatever company or corporation I'm working for. So like I'll fly into a site and I actually shoot the ball during the whole time. And like, say, if it's at a hotel, they'll put down the plastic sport court stuff. And if they don't have a basket, they'll get like one of those portable baskets and put it up in the ballroom. And then after I'm done lecturing, they'll either raffle it off the basket or they'll donate it to like the local Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA and so forth. And the thing about the corporate speaking, you're always in like beautiful areas, like, you're always going to, fine resorts, like, you're going to, Miami, you're going to Phoenix area, Palm Springs, Orlando, all these places that can hold lots of people for their companies. They have the big corporate affairs and so forth. And I enjoy it. It's a little bit different, than the basketball world, getting into the corporate business world, but everything is broken down into teamwork with that as well. They always say we have our team here. This team does this. You have your sales team. You have your tech team. You have your, just everyone's. It's all teamwork, and a message with sports, resonates in the business world. You have to be able to work with others, and you have to be able to accept your role. And like I always say, a lot shooting a ball, I make it relate to corporate stuff, like, your basics, like, one hand form shooting, doing the little things. You don't go right to the 3-point line. And in business, you gotta have your basics. You gotta follow through on a shot. You have to follow through. And, it's a lot of similarities, and I enjoy it. People have some very interesting questions. A lot of them, in the business world, they want to know a lot about, what the pros do. How do they prepare for a game? What is so-and-so like? What's he like? Why is this one so different than the others? And we all have our roles as well. Like, shooting coach, they have one coach that's, in charge of defense. And then, naturally the head coach is the guy that, makes the final decision, but we have coaches that specialize in different things: defense, offense, strength and conditioning, video coordinators, and everything. So
What is something that you learn now that you didn't know before becoming a shooting coach?
I'm learning something every day. I mean, whether it's basketball, being a parent, husband, just every day I try to learn something new. But in the basketball world, it's funny things that you learn, right? Like one of my great stories is my daughter was 3 years old when I was with the Wizards, right? So she could only go to the games like, on the afternoon games because, it's too late for it and stuff. So she's been to a few games, and she goes to me, she goes, "Daddy." I said, "What, honey?" She goes, is G Whiz and G Man, are they the same person? I said, no, no, no. I said, G Whiz is a big, fluffy guy like the Philadelphia Fanatic. I said, G Whiz is a little blue guy, like buffed. She says, no, 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 Daddy. Is he the same guy inside the outfit? Now she's 3 years old. I'm blown away by like how perceptive she is, right? So the next day we go into the coaches meeting, right? And I said, hey guys, nothing to do with basketball. My daughter wants to know, is G Whiz and G Man the same person? So, Eddie Jordan's been coaching there for 4 or 5 years, and Mike O'Corn's been there, and Wes Unseld Jr. for a number of years. And you're like, man, that's a great question for your daughter to ask. So the next game we play, and we're out huddled out, and the announcers are probably saying, look at them, they're going over the strategy. They're wondering how they're going to, stop Baron Davis here. I wonder if they're probably saying we got to trap him on the high pick and rolls. We're looking to see G Whiz and G Man are out at the same time, and it turned out he is the same guy inside the outfit. So,
That's
but
pretty impressive.
yeah, and the thing is, like, I learned so much from different coaches, just the way they coach and teach. I learned something from each and every coach. They're all different. They're all very knowledgeable. But the main thing that I learned about in the NBA game, it's more about managing people and X's and O's. I mean, it's you have all these guys, and you have players, making more money than you as the head coach, and you have to manage and you have to try to keep everybody happy, which is a very difficult thing to do. I mean, there's always somebody not happy with how much they played, or you pull them out of the game, and that's the hardest thing is managing all these these individual players and trying to get them to buy in as a team, because even their agents are telling them you're your own brand and everything. And you've seen it now. It's like, it was Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. Years ago it was the Lakers against the Knicks. Now it's, so-and-so versus so-and-so. The individual is like put before the team. Nobody's bigger than the team, and it's hard to get that through to the guys,
What advice would you give somebody looking to become a coach and have their own clinic?
I would say, it doesn't happen overnight, and there's not one certain way, to get into the NBA. And like when I started out doing clinics and working people out, nobody knew who I was. I went to a junior college in Baltimore, and then I went to a small college out in Nebraska, and then I went overseas and I played, and I played in Great Britain. And so I wasn't like, a household name by any stretch of the imagination. And the way I got into doing the camps and clinics was I was home one summer, and I ran into my high school coach, and he said, hey, Dave, I'm having a basketball camp. You want to come in and speak? I said, what am I going to do? He goes, do your workout. And back then it wasn't just a shooting workout. I did a ball handling workout. I used to throw the pass against the wall and everything. And I did that, and I got $50. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I got, paid to get a workout in. So when I was at that camp, there was another coach there. He goes, I got a camp next week. You want to come into my camp? I said, sure. So that summer, I spoke probably at 4 camps, and I did a whole workout, shooting workout, dribbling workout, passing. And I said, this is pretty cool. I'm getting paid to work out. So I was still playing basketball overseas at the time. And then the next year I came back and did the same thing. And then when I finally got into coaching, I made a brochure up and I sent out to everyone I knew that had camps and everything. And I said, at the time, I said, give me 1 hour to come in. I don't want any money. And if I do a good job, hire me next summer. So I'll never forget, Jeff Van Gundy was actually the grad assistant for Bob Wenzel at Rutgers. And I went in to speak at Rutgers, and they had 3 weeks of camp, and I was there the first week. And, I went in there and I spoke, and Jeff took me into the office with Coach Wenzel, and he said, we want you the next 2 weeks, and we're going to pay you for coming in the next 2 weeks and stuff. So the thing is, like, you got to bet on yourself and believe in yourself. And, I've been blessed. Every day I go in the gym, I'm still excited, energetic. And, I love going in the gym, and I still, go in and I get my shots up, and also still working out players and stuff. So, and like I said, I get on the road on June 15th, and I head up to I head up to Ocean City, Maryland for my first camp of this summer. So I'm looking forward to summer 35.
That's amazing. Where can my listeners find, of course, you at on social media and find all the information about your camps at?
I'm like one of the worst with social media. I post Thursdays. I usually do a throwback Thursday, but I do have a website. It's davehopla.com. I am on Facebook, also what's it called? Instagram. I'm on there. I think it's David Frank Hopla. My daughter put that together, I think. And then also I'm on LinkedIn as well, Dave Hopla. But like I said, I don't put up a lot of stuff like where I'm at and all that. But if you go to like YouTube and Google, you'll find all kinds of crazy stuff about me. But I don't do a lot. Like I said, I'm probably the worst there is with it. As you saw, I couldn't even like get the Zoom call fixed. I had to get my daughter to do it. And like same thing. She always says smartphone, dumb user, and she's hitting the nail on the head with that, you know.
Thank you again, Dave Hopla, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you start doing more sports camps.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having me, and continued success. And like I said, I love that logo you have. Very impressive. And I appreciate you having me on and taking the time. And I hope you have a better day from here on out now.
Thank you.
All right.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Dave Hopla, for your interview, and best of luck.
My pleasure. Thank you. Have a great day.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.